So the Gilded Oud, one of my dream fragrances right here, and these are two of the most expensive fragrances that I purchased just for this, and I was waiting on one of them forever because the company that used to make the fragrance I was looking for was by 1617, a candle company that has since gone out of business, and somebody else actually duped the fragrance I was looking for, and I was able to pick it up, and it finally came in, and I was able to produce this amazing candle. 1617 was one of those candle companies that used very expensive fragrances, and they were well worth it, and some of their blends were just incredible, and I was so sorry to hear that they went out of business. But this is the candle right here that I'm burning. It was one of the testers, and as soon as I lit it, I was really hoping that it would work and that I would be able to produce this candle just like it was, and it did. It worked. It wicked just fine. It burns very efficiently, and the hot throw is amazing. One thing I have noticed in learning how to make candles and listening to some of my mentors and watching some of the professional candle makers and listening to them really tuning in is the hot throw versus cold throw and how much different they can be. So it can make producing a blended fragrance especially very difficult. You can take a single fragrance and not have to blend it, and they come out amazing. There's some really amazing fragrances out there, but with my collections, I want them to be one-offs. I want them to be one of a kind. I want them to be something that I came up with. And even this one here, it was kind of based, if you take the Oud Wood from Tom Ford collection, I wanted some of those notes because I really enjoy the fragrance of that candle. It's amazing, well worth the money. But I didn't want to dupe it. So I wanted to change it just enough to have some of those notes in my candle, but also have some of my own and have that blend work. And having that blend work is the hard part. And even right now, while I'm heating up these tops, I can smell a difference between the candle that's burning behind them and the smell coming off these melt pools in these tops. And they're completely different, but the same exact candle. The only difference is one is lit and these aren't. They're crisper, they're cleaner. Whereas once a candle is burning, if you have a musky scent or a cashmere scent, say, that's kind of talky, that's kind of powdery, when you're burning it, it really brings that part of it out. Those musky tones, those deep tones really come out in the burn. So you have to kind of offset that if you want a cleaner, say, like a fresh linen or a fresh rain or something crisp. You have to really take that into account when you're blending your fragrances for your candle, because as soon as you light it, it's going to take on a slightly different tone. It's like when I'm painting. If I'm painting in acrylics, the paint always dries a little bit lighter than when I'm painting it. Or if you're painting in oils, once they dry a little deeper, a little darker. They're just opposite. So you kind of have to know the material you're working with and how it's going to finish out. And then once you light the candle, how it's going to come out in the hot throw. That's why I always test burn my candles. I always test burn because I want to know how they're going to come out. Another hard part about being a candle business owner is that fragrances are a lot opened up to interpretation. What I might like, someone else might not like, or what someone else might like, I might not like. So it's it's not sometimes a joy to produce something, but you have to produce something that other people are going to like, not just yourself. So it's totally subjective. So you have to kind of stay open, and you have to really know your audience, and you have to listen to people and listen to what people like and what they enjoy and what a certain aroma is going to elicit emotionally. And in the same token, you have to stay true to your own art. I mean, if you're not producing something that isn't part of you and it's just what everybody else wants, then you're kind of losing touch with your true creativity and your own art. But if you're only producing something that you like, you're missing out on sharing with a lot of other people that might enjoy it. And that's where the business side comes in. A lot of artists back in the day would generate pieces of art that everybody hated, except for there might be that one person that loved it and would pay for it. And that those artists have probably become famous, but they weren't doing it and trying to conduct it as a business at the same time, a lot of them. And so that's kind of where you have to not let that gray area get too murky. You have to produce things that people like and that say something about yourself. So it's kind of, I don't know, double-edged sword, I guess. It's a fine line that you have to ride, and you always have to be thinking of your business. There are so many things to think about, and so many things to keep in line and not let through the cracks. And that's maybe why a lot of small businesses and candle businesses fail, especially when it's just you. I work a full-time job, and then I do this, and it takes a lot. You got to put on so many different hats. You got to put on your shipping hat. You got to put on your logistics hat. You got to put on your numbers hat, and you got to have your art hat on. You have to, that's the main thing, is you started this as an artist and something you loved and a passion, and you can't lose sight of that just because it's a business. That always has to be a part of it. I mean, that's your signature. Like this candle, I had one of the fragrances, and I've been hanging on to it and waiting for it because I needed this other fragrance that I wanted to blend, and I didn't even know if it was going to work. I just dreamt about it, and it's all I could think about. I had been reading on them and studying them and seeing if they would blend well and seeing if they were going to complement each other, and everything said they would. So I ordered this fragrance. At first I had to search for it because it was discontinued, and then I finally found it, and now it finally arrived. So this is the Gilded Oud, and this is a custom fragrance that it blew me away. As soon as I got it blended, I was like, yes. I jumped up, I ran in here, and it was late at night, but I got it done and produced this candle. And I made a bunch of them because I know this one is going to sell really well. I know that it's not going to be so polarizing like some of my first from the Destinations collection were kind of polarizing, and some people would like it and some people would hate it, and that was going to be that. This, it's a little different. This one I think is not polarizing. I think that everybody's going to love it. It's definitely unisex. It's not masculine. It's not feminine. It's kind of right down the middle, and it fills a room instantly. The Gilded Oud is very special to me. It's not necessarily better than any of the other ones I've produced, but most definitely special, And I'm definitely I'm ordering a lot more fragrance, I'll put it that way, because I think this one is going to be a year-round seller. I think people are going to not want to not have this candle available. So the new collection will be called the Signature Collection, and this is going to be the star right here, is the Gilded Oud. And I think everybody will be able to enjoy this all the time. Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be one of those household scents. And if I never sold one, I wouldn't care. I didn't start this for the money. I started it to produce something that I could put out there for other people to enjoy, something I crafted, just like a painting, just like any artist who puts things out there. A lot of it isn't for monetary purposes or monetary gain. It's just to be able to share a part of you. And if it just so happens that a lot of people like what you're producing, that's just icing on the cake. And the other thing that I'm learning is not to rush things. Like with the first collection, I kind of rushed it because I had been working on the fragrances for a while, so they were already ready to go, most of them. But I kind of was rushing it because I wanted to get it out there. I wanted to get my website up and running, and I wanted to get my products out there and start being a producing candle maker, producing candle business, And so I kind of did rush the first one, but now I've learned, now that I'm running, I can kind of sit back a little bit. And like with the Signature Collection, I'm not rushing to fill the 5 fragrances of the signature collection. I will do other fragrances. I know some that I really want to produce that I'm going to go ahead and produce, and not everyone has to be in a collection. And with the signature collection, it's going to be when I come across something very special, and very unique, because I don't know, when I'm blending fragrances, I don't know a lot of times how it's going to come out. I can hope how they're going to come out. And this one just happened to come out exactly like I thought it would. But when I come across something special, I will put it into the signature collection. And it might be more than 5. It might be a big one, but I like to put things into collections just for convenience, I guess, for convenience for other people. And they're looking for a certain something, whether it's going to be, cookies and cream, or some kind of lemon scent, or some kind of aromatherapy or something like that. That's why I put them in the collections, and they fit, and I think they belong in collections. I know when I do a series of paintings, they come in either a series or a collection, and that's kind of how you put it out. So I'm doing the same thing with the candles. So the Gilded Oud was inspired by a designer candle, I guess produced by, it was Tom Ford, Oud Wood, and I enjoyed the fragrance of that candle very much, but I didn't want to dupe it. I didn't want to dupe it at all. That's not what I'm about. So I bought a fragrance with the same tones as that one. And then the other one, like I said, was produced by a company that went out of business, but I had to get my hands on it just by listening to someone else describe it. And I could imagine the two combined. So I waited and I waited, and I looked around, and I finally found one and ordered it. So when it came in, I produced this candle, and I wanted to produce a candle shared the same tones as the designer candle, but had my own twist on it. So that's what the Gilded Oud is all about. And I can tell you that it has grapefruit, black pepper. It's got a little bit of hemp. And hemp, when you think of hemp, when I first thought of it, I thought it was going to smell like hemp, the weed, but it doesn't at all. It's got a very floral smell to it. It's kind of hard to explain. To me, it's kind of almost fruity, floral in a way, but it's not what you think it would be. It's not what I thought it would be anyways, but it's got some amber and vanilla, definitely some finishes with some patchouli scent, but it's got that cedar, that Palo Santo and tonka bean, and definitely has the oud and some vetiver, and it comes out on top right out of the gate with that, I would say grapefruit and black pepper and cardamom is very prominent right off the top. And then through the middle, you start picking up on the amber and the vanilla and a little bit of patchouli at the end. And those deep bass notes of the Palo Santo and the tonka bean and that oud mixed with that cedar, it just finishes off very smooth and clean and not musky at all. I was a little bit worried about the cedar and the tonka bean because they can get a little bit musky, but those are just kind of the bass notes. They're underlying, and they're not real prominent. They're just there. It's such a pleasant candle, and honestly, one of my personal favorites. This candle is definitely one of my personal favorites, and will always be burning in my house. Through the holidays, I might try something else, but this is definitely going to be one that's always going to be in my home. So keep your eyes open for the Gilded Oud, which will be up on the website tonight, dreamkettle.com. And it'll be available. I've got the 5-ounce pours, which are more than 5 ounces, but a minimum of 5-ounce pours, and the 10-ounce. And like I said, they will be available immediately. So thank you for watching. I know this video might not have been so exciting, but it was for me. And thank you for following the journey of Dream Kettle. And I can only imagine where we're going to go from here and how many adventures that we're going to have in this company. And just stick with me and witness the growth and watch how we find ways to scale up. And I think coming up real soon, we're going to be doing a farmer's market. I'm going to visit this weekend and check in and see how they run things and see how I can get my spot. And I'll take you along for the journey. We'll definitely record the whole thing. So have an amazing day and stay true to yourself, stay true to your art and your craft, and stay true to your customers. I will see you soon on the next video. Thanks for hanging out.